Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I want to talk about the Jaylen Brown, Bronny James thing. I had that on my mind today, this morning. So all types of stuff to be talking about, but I just think this is a relevant conversation because it just has a lot of things that go along with it. Essentially, he was walking in with Angel Reese and his girlfriend, his latest girlfriend, of whose name I can't pronounce. I never can pronounce her name. She was actually the lady who was allegedly involved in the Michael Porter Jr. situation. She moved on from Michael Porter and now is with Jaylen Brown. They came to the Lakers Celtics summer league game yesterday together. It was a whole scene. People were giving Jaylen Brown props for coming in with two pretty ladies, that kind of thing. And he sat down, man, and I guess he was mouthing to the lady friend that Bronny James is not a pro in his mind. It didn't look like he was saying it with a lot of hate in his heart or nothing like that. He looked like he was kind of saying it sheepishly, like, I don't think so. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. And you could see that they were saying these words by way of mouth reading. If you're good at mouth reading, they weren't really doing a good job of covering their tracks on that one. You got to know you're in public, man. So, and you're coming in making a scene. Everything that comes out of your mouth, there's a decent chance that they're going to try to do this. They ain't got nothing to talk about. It's the off season. So, you know, if the peanut gallery gets a whiff of you having an opinion about Bronny James, there's a chance they use it against you. You know, this is why people cover their mouths at sporting events and various different things. When you see them talking to each other, they do like this, or they put them. It's because of this type of crap. Because the media has no shame. If you say something in public, whether we got audio of it or not, if we can read your lips, we can make something out of it, which I think is low-hanging fruit. I honestly think it should be shunned, really. Especially when you can't prove with beyond the shadow of a doubt that this is what we were saying. But nevertheless, he had to come out with a statement today saying, you know, that basically he looks forward to Bronny's growth and he has all the tools around him to become a pro, and it's a flex for Bron to have your son next to you playing basketball, you know, kind of dancing around it without actually taking back what he said. And it's just one of those situations for me where it's like, if I'm Jaylen Brown, I almost wonder if, I'll put it like this, I almost wonder if Jaylen did that on purpose. I almost wonder if he was put up to that because it was so easy to read his lips. He knows better. He's been in the NBA for what, 7 years now? He came in and it was a scene. And, you know, it's one of those situations where you just feel like the whole thing was put together. Even him saying those things for all of us to see was put together. You know what I mean? That's what I honestly think. I think this was orchestrated together by some interesting PR movement, some interesting psychological stuff going on there. I personally think no different than him walking in with those two women, and them two were holding hands. It just had a whole vibe to it that seemed like it was put together by a think tank, to be honest with you. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Angel Reese didn't really know this girl that well, don't know Jaylen Brown that well, but her people put them together for the scene, you know, for the whole scene. I could totally see that being a thing. But nevertheless, it's one of those situations where Jaylen Brown was photographed and on camera saying this, and now had to walk it back. And I just think that, you know, when it really comes down to it, you got to know what is going to harm your circumstances. This is somebody who was just left off the Team USA team for the Olympics, and 3 of his teammates on the team, 2 of which are behind him in the pecking order on the squad he's on. Knowing damn well he better at this point than Drew Holiday and Derek White. Some say he's better than Jason Tatum, but he's not representing our country despite winning both Finals MVP and Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the NBA championship. It's like, it gets to a point where it's like, if I didn't know any better, I'd say they kept him off that thing because of this type of stuff. I would say they kept him off the team because they were concerned that he was going to do something like what he just did there. And, you know, we've always said that Jaylen Brown's point of view is to stand on certain things. You know, he's not afraid of political controversy. He's not afraid to stand for his people. He's not afraid to stand for others if necessary. He backed Kyrie Irving when it wasn't politically correct to do so. So I believe he was left off Team USA for that, but even more so because he's a wildfire and you just don't know what he's going to say, or you don't know what he's going to do. And he is highly intelligent. And that's an interesting combination when you consider PR and how they really prefer you not to be outspoken and telling the truth and all of that. It can hurt a lot of people. And that's the whole point. Like, when you're in that game, you got a $300 million contract, you play for the NBA champions, you got 2 high-profile women next to you. You got to know that you're going to offend some people that you don't want to offend when you, in that setting, speak, as they say, the quiet part out loud. Is there anybody that's been watching Bronny James saying that he's a pro at this point? No, nobody's thinking that. Nobody's thinking that. Is anybody going to say it out loud? Not if they don't have agenda behind it, or more so if they don't have the ability to be affected negatively by the politics of the situation. You understand what I'm saying? Now, they just caught Rob Pelinka acting poorly in Summer League to Bronny's missed shots. I don't think that was by accident either. I think Rob Pelinka was purposely reacting in that way, knowing he was being photographed. I just think that there's a push from an unseen angle, in my opinion, that wants this Bronny thing to fail. That doesn't believe that he should be here, and they probably have signed off on this, but really don't want this to happen. That's what I'm gathering. And if I was in Clutch's corner, I would say somebody who agreed to this is rooting for this to fail, and they're making moves in the direction of assuring that it does. One of them big wigs that said, yeah, let's do this, they're not really with this. That's what all of this is showing me. And with their reach, they're doing stuff like this. Oops, Jaylen Brown was seen saying that he don't believe Bronny's a pro. Oops, Rob Pelinka's in a position to react poorly to Bronny's misses. Like, maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe all of this is a coincidence. But these are the same people that have been on camera a good portion of their lives for the last 7 years. Both of them. Jaylen Brown and Rob Pelinka. In the most high-profile setting, which is Summer League for their sport, they're seen reacting poorly to something that is taboo, more or less, to react poorly to if you're them. If you're Jaylen Brown, you definitely don't want to be seen on camera saying Bronny James ain't a pro. If you're Rob Pelinka, you definitely don't want to be seen doing this and this every time the boy missed a shot. So it's like, look, big wigs, powers that be, if you weren't on board with this, why does this happen? That's what I was saying. Jeannie Buss, if you didn't want this to happen, why the hell would you sign on it in the first place? That's all I'm saying. That's literally all I'm saying. For people who think, conspiracy-wise, that's exactly where my head goes. This is a bunch of pantomiming. This is me. You don't see me waving my hand because I'm not actually here type nonsense. That's what this looked like to me. And that's what I would just say, man, pull the rug from behind all this. If y'all didn't want this to happen, why is it even happening? Why are we even doing this? So that's my thing. Like, I want to see Bronny James succeed. Do I believe he's a pro right now? Of course not. And I said as much last night. He's not. He's in here because of his father and the politics of the situation. The problem I have with the politics of the situation is, it's the same thing I have with a lot of people who use their power a certain way. If you're not using your power in a way that helps the circumstance, then you're a nuisance having that power. Bronny James should not be on a 4-year deal when his game doesn't speak to being able to perform in Summer League. He should not. That doesn't help him. That doesn't help the quality and the reputation of the Lakers. It don't help LeBron, his father, because he looks like he's using his power in unwise ways again. As I've often criticized some of the decisions that he did in the past, getting people paid that ended up locking up the cap so that they couldn't ultimately make the moves necessary. Then he want to leave them teams because they can't win. That type of stuff, it's like, yo, your power has to align with the overall bigger picture of the team you're on, bro. If you're hurting your team in using your power, then you're hurting the bigger picture of what it is that you're doing. And sometimes people get so caught up in trying to mimic those who have power. When they finally get power, they want to use power. And they forget that the game that they're playing ain't only the leverage game. It's also the bigger picture quality of what it is we're doing game. And that's why I don't really like politics, because you see that parallel throughout everywhere, including our country right now. People doing stuff that is crazy for the sake of maintaining the posture of the politics. It's like at some point in time, you've lost sight of what it is you're actually doing because you're too busy trying to play the game. That's my point of view. That's why I don't align with it, because I see a picture that it seems like those people in it are too close to see. If the kid ain't ready to play, why the hell am I throwing him out there? That's not helping him. You're going to kill his confidence before he even gets started. That ain't helping the quality of clutch, because their credibility gets shot when they do stuff like this. That don't help LeBron James, because you pushing your son into the NBA. How your wife gonna feel about this when it crashes and burns? That could put your marriage at risk in potential situations. But people see that angle. You think Savannah gonna be happy with Bron for throwing her son out there and that boy ain't ready? And he crashed and burned? Boy, like, what are we doing? And far be it from me to know the strength of their marriage, but I'm just saying, in 9 out of 10 situations, it puts a strain on the situation when you throw somebody's son out there and they ain't ready for something. You throwing them out to the wolves for the sake of what? Leverage? Because you can? Because those who are in power around you can do it too? That's not what you do. I keep telling people this, and I mean this when I say it. When we get power, whoever we are, and this ain't just about black people, it's anybody. If you're a person of color, or you even a white person who's been disenfranchised for a long time, when you get power, you cannot put yourself in a position to mimic those who irresponsibly lose their power, because that's what's wrong with them having power. That's what's wrong with having power in a lot of cases, because people don't know how to use it for the betterment of the bigger picture. You know that everything attaches to everything. That's why you lie so damn much. You won't say the quiet part out loud because you know the truth can do a lot of harm. If you understand that, then why don't you understand that the idea of being this way, true to itself, does a lot of harm? It's like they're too close to the idea that they're supposed to move a certain way to keep the Jenga game going, that they forget that they're playing Jenga on an unbalanced floor. You can be ever so careful with the balance, but if the table is missing a part of it, if it's missing a leg, the game's gonna fall over anyway. And this is what happens when people play the game this way. They end up cutting at the legs of the table that the game is on. You are a basketball team. You're trying to build a basketball team. You do not give a 4-year deal to somebody who cannot play the game at a high enough level. That hurts everyone's credibility. Everyone, all parties involved. It's why you don't want Jaylen Brown to say that out loud. Because one of the things that can hurt the situation is people start looking at the Lakers and saying, see, high-level professionals, people who've accomplished in this game, are questioning the credibility of the Los Angeles Lakers for even doing this. That's what you don't want done, because that messes with the leverage of the Los Angeles Lakers in other avenues that people like myself probably can't even see. It's why you don't want Jaylen Brown telling the truth. It's why. Because it messes with other leverage. So if you understand that, then why is this being done? You see what I'm saying? So that's my point of view. I don't think this is good for literally anybody. And then because it's not good for literally anybody, now you got the powers that be, from where I'm sitting, nudging certain people that they have in place, however it goes, to go against what has been agreed to, more or less. Ruin the credibility of this so we have the excuse to pull it apart. That's what this seems like they're doing. Because we didn't really want to do this. It's unwise in every way, but the person in place has to see it for themselves, so it has to fail in order for us to be able to undo it. That's what it seemed like to me. When you realize that the power you have isn't actually your power at all. Because even when you're calling the shots, you don't control the walls in the room itself. I've said this all the time. I've said this a million times on this channel. This is why I don't hold a lot of merit to the politics of people's circumstances and structures. Because at the end of the day, if you don't control the weather and you don't control the walls of the room you're in, and they can collapse at any moment, it doesn't really matter what you got going on in the room. It doesn't really matter what you're doing outside. If it gets too hot or too cold, you're screwed. You see what I'm saying? We're relying upon things outside of our control for the structure of what it is that we're doing to make sense. Do you account that into what you're doing when you politic a certain way? No. Because a lot of times when people politic this way, they are in a space where they believe the walls and the weather is going to remain as it is. They're assuming a million birds won't fly over their situation and dookie all over the damn thing, when that has a high enough probability, just like anything else, of possibly happening. You know what I mean? That could happen. 1 out of 1,000,000,006, but it could happen. And that's the point. It's like, and so for me, it's like, I never want to see myself in a space where I'm too close to people and their political structures to where I can't tell the truth about what it is that I see. I will respect that the truth can harm others and try to use it as responsibly as possible, sometimes not speaking is best. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to assume that the weather is not going to change in such a way that pulls those who are in control of all of this out of the way. It can. It really can. And then they have to react to it, and it all falls apart. It's like, yo, when you believe in something greater than yourself, in control of all things around you, you know better than to assume that the weather is going to remain stable enough for whatever the hell you're doing to remain as it is. And so what I'm telling you is this. Bron is not in control of the weather. He may have the leverage to put his son in a position to be on this team, but he's not in a position to keep those who want to sabotage it from sabotaging it. He can't do that. Nor is he in a position to make his son good enough to where they don't feel like they should have to sabotage it. Because if he were good enough, they wouldn't want to. Now that's some truth for all of y'all. Bronny's not good enough to be in this situation. So people who put this in place don't want it to happen. Not because they hate Bronny, not because they just necessarily don't want Bron to have the leverage, but because the kid's not ready. And because of the leverage that LeBron is using, they can't put him in a position to get ready. That's the problem. And I tell you like this, these are steps that are unnecessary. None of these steps are necessary. Just put the kid in the G League, take that 4-year contract, rip it the hell up, put him on a 2-way like he belongs on, and put him in a position to succeed that way. Then everybody's happy. The powers that be are happy, Bron's happy, Bronny's happy because he doesn't have the pressure of having to live up to a contract he should not have, nor is ready for. The team is happier because you don't have wasted roster spots on people who are not professional yet. And everybody's credibility is held up to a standard that it's supposed to be because they're not doing anything stupid to otherwise compromise it. And all the different moves that are made to bring forth a guise of credibility to where it's actually not due isn't necessary. Literally. I'm telling you, man, sometimes, if not most times, the easiest way from point A to point B is a straight line. And a lot of times when people are lying for a living, they forget when it's not necessary to do so. When they politic this way and say the quiet part never, they forget when the quiet part can actually be okay if people are just able to digest it. You know what I mean? Sometimes the quiet part is the helpful part because it gives intel to those who need to understand. And while you're trying to cover up everything to protect certain leverage, you end up deteriorating the full picture. And this is what I'm ultimately trying to help people understand. They're deteriorating the full picture. They ain't gonna have no credibility in the Laker organization because they're trying to capitulate to this leverage and then undo it, it seems to me, somehow. Just don't do it in the first place. You sit down with LeBron James and say, this is something that can be done, but this is what happens when you do it. So should we do it? No, because you're not going to be happy with the outcome of what happens when we do it. But there are people in place who are not in a position to tell the truth to the person that this is for. They ain't going to tell Bron that because it doesn't benefit their game, their plan, to tell him the truth about what happens here. So it's like, nah, because then we mess up a Jenga game over here. If we tell him that he can't do this, then they can mess up things over there. It's like, yo, you messing up everything. Everything. Not just the little things that are you considering, even more. Gets hurt by doing things the wrong way and then trying to cover it up with narratives and all kinds of another 3 or 4 or 5 moves that require more things to deteriorate in terms of credibility. It's like, yo, stop this crap, you guys. This is the problem I have with the Lake organization right now. They focus on everything, but building a team that's good enough to win. We got to celebrate this. We putting up statues for that. God knows I'm happy the statues up, but why are we losing basketball games? They have a banquet for this. We got a banquet for that. Come on, fam. When are we going to start building our basketball team? We got to put out a lie about a rumor over here so people talk about us over there, but they're not talking positively about us. You knew you wanted to hire J.J. Redick. Why the hell do I even know about Dan Hurley? You knew damn well you were going to hire J.J. Redick. The easiest path to the credibility you want is a straight line, man. I don't need the Dan Hurley factor coming in. For what? You weren't going to get that dude. You knew you were giving him too little to agree to in the situation. You knew that. This type of stuff, it's like they're doing so much. And then they wonder why the little stuff that is so important gets neglected. You don't even have a decent point guard on your summer league team. Why? Because you're doing all types of other stuff. I'd imagine you didn't get that point guard because you told yourself it was going to be Bronny James when you know damn well that boy ain't ready to play no point guard. So what gets foregoed? The cohesiveness of the team itself. Because we got to keep up the guise of believing that Bronny belongs here. He don't belong here. You can lie about it, but it ain't going to change the fact that in putting him there, you're going to have the game messed up because of it. Or you're going to be lacking certain things on a basketball court because of it. Do you see what I'm saying? Even if he was a fully developed version of himself, he ain't a facilitating point guard. So why in the hell is he being put on the roster as if he's going to run facilitating point guard, only for them to not even put him in a position to do that? Why? Because he can't do that. That's the point. So it's like, look, man, at the end of the day, y'all done did so many different moves. Went to point C, D, E, F, G on all different types of things till you're forgetting the bigger picture is to keep the credibility of being able to not only put a good basketball team on the floor, but dominate in doing so. You are destroying the brand, which I would imagine hurts the value of the franchise. Like, it's just... The only reason why we haven't mortgaged more picks is because, luckily enough, this horrible CBA is in place. And I say horrible in a sense that it doesn't allow for things to get done, but it also strangleholds people who want to be guns happy from firing off, which is in some ways what's necessary to keep them from doing stupid stuff with their franchise. On one hand, you don't like it because it restricts you. On the other hand, you realize the people who are in place probably need to be restricted. When you look at the bigger picture, you consider how many of these teams are mortgaging their future and misevaluating talent. This puts them in a position, this CBA with all these aprons, it puts them in a position to where they have to think about it. Rather than just shooting off all these damn draft picks to teams. I'm telling you, man, giving away their future, making it so that the best players are going to be in Minnesota, or rather vice versa, Utah, OKC. You understand what I'm saying? That's where all the talent's about to be because of this gunslinger GM era we just exited. And if people could just have some balance about what they're doing in those type of situations, you wouldn't need 6 and 7 aprons to put, handcuffs on them to keep them from giving away their future like that. So this is the truth, man. This is the truth. The Lakers are one of the biggest culprits in this problem. They would have given away 4 and 5 picks for a role player if they didn't have these aprons on this CBA, man. They would have given away so much of their future. And you could see it with how they're willing to mortgage everything for the 40-year-old guy. They put players on the team that don't even need to be there, hire a coach, ain't got no experience, just so that they can keep the guy who's on his way out the door happy as if he's going to give him another 30 years to play. Doesn't make any sense. Hustling absolutely backwards, taking 7 and 8 steps to get to point B. It's just like, yo, man, this is why I want the Lakers to hire a president. Hire a president, Gene. Because I'm telling you, you're doing too much. You are doing far too much. There's no way this kid should be on a 4-year deal. There's no way. No one should have been able to back us into a place where we're giving away our roster spots to people that are not ready to play. There's no way. Keeping LeBron James was that serious. You're acting like he's the only superstar in this league. You're acting like he does have 15 more years to play. These are the things that you do when you're a small market and don't have a path to another superstar. It's why Giannis Antetokounmpo's brother was on the team for the last several years. Because he had years to go, because they have no path to getting any other superstars. And that was the only way to keep the one they had. You don't have that problem. And anybody who's put you in a position to make you believe that you have that problem did not have your best interests at heart. You have the Los Angeles Lakers. And just because you went through a bad era before LeBron got here, where you couldn't get the likes of Carmelo Anthony and LaMarcus Aldridge, does not mean that going forward, you need to do all of the things that make your team bad so that you can keep the superstar in place. He came, didn't he? Bron came. The biggest star this game has seen since Michael Jordan came to play for your franchise. That should tell you that you're not in the space where you have to do unwise things to keep a superstar in place. That should tell you right there you don't have to do that. All you have to do is stay, and I've said this a million times, all the Lakers have to do is stay in a position where the place is decorated just enough so that a superstar would want to come. Do you remember how the Clippers looked before they got PG and Kawhi? They had a bunch of role players, bunch of picks. The team made the playoffs with role players, good coaching. That is the blueprint for an LA or big market franchise. That's it. You just got to be attractive enough to attract the stars. They will come on their own. But if you deteriorate the foundation of what you have to keep your remaining stars in place, when those stars finally do leave, you will not have that decoration. You will be unattractive. LA is going to be LA. The Lakers organization and the colors, unless you change them, they're going to stay the way they are. You don't need to do this. We're not Milwaukee. That's my thing. You're not Toronto. You don't have to do this. And so that's my point of view. I just think people have bought a lie about the inability to attract stars, when if they just open their eyes, they realize that the entire ESPN is built on talking about us, whether we have stars in place or not. They don't even have a station without us. They can't carry the views necessary to be relevant without talking about us every single day. Why are we deteriorating what we are to keep a star when this was already in place before that star got here? But you're buying the idea that this thing is going to turn back into what it was when Jim Buss was running the plays. And as a result, you're doing Jim Buss-like stuff to keep it going. How does that make any sense? I'm telling you, man, this is what happens when you start buying stuff for people who have their own agenda in place. If I wanted you to believe that you need to be doing everything for me, of course I'm going to come in and say you ain't nothing without me. Have you ever seen in the movies or even in real life in situations where a significant other tells the other significant other, you ain't nothing without me, you ain't nothing without me, you can't do nothing without me, you ain't nobody without. This is that psychological stuff that I believe is taking place at the Lakers. You ain't nothing without me. Y'all ain't never gonna get nobody if you better do everything I tell you to do, because if I leave, what it looked like before I got here. That type of psychological nonsense is what it seems to me the Lakers are buying. Like, yo, they right. We really do need to like sell our souls in half to keep him here, because if he leaves, no. And look at the pressure it is to get a star in here. No one will ever come again. No. That's not the case. That's not true. And I'll tell you something else. This is what I believe. Those who are putting you in a position to believe that, at the same time, because of the nature of that, they're not going to be in a position to do that for much longer. Because that's how you end up getting enemies. When you start behaving that way, that's when karma starts working against you. Natural and unnatural karma. The people start looking around saying, how can we tear these guys down? Look at the character from which they're working. That stuff starts piling against them. And all this that you've built to try to keep in touch and in good standing with them, and you're going to fall with them too. That's what ends up happening. The very thing you're trying to keep from happening is exactly what you start ushering in. This is why I like LeBron James, but I don't think he's in control of a lot of this. I think he's playing the game just like everybody else. I think people probably doing the same thing to him that I'm saying they're doing to the Lakers. You're going to need me around. You're going to want to do what I tell you to do. This is what it is. This is what it looks like. It's like measuring things out a certain way to make themselves look good in his eyes, so he'll keep doing what they tell him to do. Ain't nobody going to tell you to throw your son out there who had a heart problem last year on a 4-year deal in the biggest market in the world so he can show off his failures and ultimately deteriorate the credibility of you and that organization. Ain't nobody in his best interest going to actually tell him to do that, fam. This is why they ain't never going to let me in the room, because I really don't care. There are a lot of people who care, but to a point, they'll tell the truth in certain areas, and then the rest is about the narrative. Man, I don't give a damn. I literally don't care. I ain't trying to politic with nobody. I don't even walk down the street with nobody. So my thing is this. I think everybody's had a number done on their head by a certain entity that makes them think they should be doing things that are unwise. I really believe that. It shows in the DNA of the moves being made. People have been told some lies. There's no way you could get me to believe that I'm setting Bronny James up for success when I put him on the Lakers on a 4-year deal when he ain't developed. The only thing that comes of that is the media attacking that young fella every day. Every day. Just like they did his daddy, but only his dad is talented enough to make it so that he can offset it with excellent play. Bronny ain't gonna be able to do that. It's gonna be like Westbrook all over again. Why would I set my kid up for that? Because I have the leverage to do that? That's not the leverage I need to be using. I can have the leverage to have you throw your shoes at me. You must throw your shoes at me. I don't want to get hit in the head with a damn shoe, but I got the leverage to tell you to do it, so it's within my... Like, not everything is good, man. Not everything you have the leverage to do is actually best. Which is the point of the whole statement I'm making here. Using your power in ways that hurt you just because you have the power? What are we talking about? And if it becomes a situation where we're talking about ego, to where because I'm the greatest player ever, my son can play in the NBA, and it's so easy for me, so it's easy for him. Like, that's not smart, man. That's just not intelligent. Just be honest, that's not smart. You start wondering how intelligent people are when that's what they're actually believing versus what it is, that they're willing to do to ensure that it happens. It's like, yo, that's not good, bro. He may not be ready. He's not ready. But my son can because I did it and I killed this league. I destroy this league every day. Yeah, but he's not you, fam. And there are people in this world that are that dense. Don't get it twisted. There are people in this world that are that dense. But that takes a deep level of being dense. And most importantly, where are your friends? Who is going to tell you, yeah, this is a good idea? That actually wants to see you succeed? Who the hell is going to let you do that? I kill this league every day. I've been killing this league for 16 years. If I can handle it, he can handle it. What? When you're the only person on earth that can do what you do, what makes you think your seed can do that? Because you can? Where the hell does that work? Where have we seen any evidence of that? Well, I'm different. Oh, sure are, if you believe that. Not in a good way, though, brother. I'm not accusing LeBron of being this dense. I'm just saying that the DNA of the circumstances, what the trail is, shows us that that's a tea leaf. That he may genuinely believe because he's so great in this league and it's easy for him, that because this person is from him, they should be able to do what he does. That is crazy. That's crazy, fam. They was talking about me bad all my life. Yeah, but you can handle it in a different way. Somebody else may not be able to handle that the same way, bro. A lot of people who took on the hate that LeBron James was taking in 17, 16, 15, 20, whatever, all them young years of his life, a lot of them would have spiraled. A lot of those people would have spiraled. And to think that his son won't just because he's his son, what kind of irrational arrogance must he be engaging in to actually believe that? So all of this is bad, man. All of this is bad. Everything about this is bad. I think the kid is going to suffer for it. And that's been my concern the whole time. I don't want to see Bronny fail. Like, at all. But at the same time, it's like, do the people who are in position to see that he doesn't fail want to see him fail? Are the people in position to help him along too dense to give him the help that he needs? Too arrogant within themselves to say, yo, this ain't gonna work for my son. This worked for me, but this may not work for him. And there's a lot of accusations about LeBron James having control of the media. The media gonna do whatever LeBron says. That's fine, bro. Fine, cool, whatever. What does that have to do with him performing on the basketball court? You can control the narrative. All right, fine. We still gonna see him suck out there if he's not good. Like, what does that have to? You can't will the truth with a conglomerate of people who are willing to lie for you, bro. You can't will reality by controlling a narrative, and that is what needs to be understood in this world. There are really, really, really powerful people right now who are engaging in that in real life circumstances, not just basketball. And as we say, if you mimic those who are unwise with their power, you're going to fall to the same consequences that they ultimately will. If everybody sees something going on, and I got 1 million people on the payroll telling you not to believe your lying eyes, does that change what you're seeing? Does that make you question your credibility to yourself as you watch? Are you going to start questioning your sanity, or are you going to start questioning the stability of what is around you? That's the age-old question here. And I done paid everybody in the street to say that the sky is orange, and you look up and see blue. Are you going to question whether or not your eyes are lying to you, or are you going to question whether or not these people are compromised? And that's the point, man. I think a lot of people think the former in this situation, and the reality is that's not how it actually goes. That's not real. You may be able to control a lot of things, but what you can't control is people's credibility as if it pertains to their very own eyeballs. I trust what I see. This kid cannot play. You can hire Skip, Shannon, Stephen A, everybody. You can hire everybody. It's not going to change the fact that he's going 1 for 5, frankly. It's not. He still missed shots. So, like, these are the type of things that I just say, like, bro, don't, please, if anybody's listening to me with any sort of power, please do not move in a way that answers the question in the former, fam. Stop doing that to yourselves. People pour a lot of money and leverage into the controlling of narratives when the narratives doesn't change the reality of what we see. And it needs to in order for that to be a good investment. It needs to. You do a better job pouring into your AI technology than the narratives of the actors in the room. Because those narratives and those actors cannot change the credibility of me believing in myself. And my eyes are not lying to me, friends. That's a little deeper than basketball. It really is. But it's credible to what we're talking about. Because I think that's what people think is possible here. If we just control enough of the media and the narratives, control the environment a little bit, maybe we can start getting people to question their own credibility when they're looking at things. No. Hell no, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. Not with anybody who thinks for themselves. And underestimating how many people are capable of thinking for themselves and or going to listen to people who do is a big mistake when you control a lot. Huge mistake. Because even if you can get 100 people to believe that, they're going to be about 3 of me around here. Telling them, nah. Absolutely not. And so I'm telling you this, man. I am actually rooting for Bronny James. I'm actually rooting for LeBron James. As I told you guys, this guy's been on my prayer list for years. The morning Bronny had his health issue, I had prayed for him that morning without even knowing what was going on. Because I prayed for him every morning. He was a part of the list. Not to say that I saved his life, but I'm saying I'm in that corner from afar. And I don't need to know people to be in that corner. It's just how I'm wired. I'm weird like that. The point is, I don't want to see the man fail. Nor do I want to see his family fail in trying to put him in a position to succeed in a basketball floor. If he can't play ball, you can't will him to being a pro. You cannot. You can't will that. That's not a thing. That's not a thing, man. What you can do is ask him to put in the work and wait for him to do so, see that work transpire in a way that allows for him to be good enough to put out there, and then put him out there, and then watch him succeed. That's the hope, man. And then you can use all that narrative crap after he's ready to give him an opportunity to show that he's ready. You put him out there when he's not ready, and you get all the bad, none of the good at all. And the fact that I have to say this is frustrating. And look, we gotta know something in my mindset. My mind's eye tells me that LeBron James, at the end of the day, wants his son to succeed, man. He wants his family to succeed in all that they do. But if you can't see past your own ego, or you're too involved in the politics of things that you can't discern what is best for this young man, then it's going to be a failure on your part, bro. It ain't going to be a failure on nobody else, because all they doing is what they feel they should for the betterment of what standing they have in the politics. This is your kid. And I think there are too many yes men and too many politicians around this dude to tell him these words. This isn't good for him. This ain't good for his mental. It ain't good for his development as a person. This ain't good for him in so many different ways, bro. When you start thinking about psychologically how people end up having problems with certain things and how that let me tell y'all something. I had a strange dream last night. I'm getting ready to be where I'm at, so I only got a couple seconds left to talk. But I had a strange dream last night. And the dream that I had involved James Brown, the singer. James Brown was singing some song that he didn't actually sing, but it seemed so real. I could hear every note. Point is, the only reason why that's relevant is because James Brown had a lot of problems at the end of his life with his family fighting over his estate. Okay? That's the relevance. Not the dream, but the story of how it turned out, or it took months for him to be properly buried because the family couldn't agree on certain things that had to do with the estate. Do people see how this type of stuff trickles down to that? Do people not see, like, these are the type of things that can tumble forward so many different steps to where a guy don't have your best interest in heart at the end of your life, because you ruined his life with your intentions and what you thought was best for him, but was really not best for anybody. Now he resent you. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. I'm certainly not trying to speak that into life. But what I'm saying is, if we're not looking at all angles, there are going to be some things that catch some people off guard. You got to have that in mind, man. You can't just throw your kid out there to take on all types of different pressures and wolves, this, that, and the third. His life goes spiraling potentially, and then think that he's going to have your best interest at heart in the end. He may not, because you didn't have his best interest at heart right now. I speak because I've talked to people. I had a job back in the day called Park Place, and there was this lady who was a billionaire, fam. Not a millionaire, a billionaire. But they let her stay in the apartment I was at. The homes were like maybe worth $1 million a piece. She's a billionaire. She should have been in a mansion somewhere, but they let her stay in an apartment. Why? Because from what I understand, she didn't necessarily treat her kids very well. So near the end of her life, they threw her somewhere. That's the reality of it. I was like, how the hell are you a billionaire in this place? Her kids never came visit. The only one son that came around was strung out. He didn't have nothing but a question for his mom to give him something. Like, that's the only person who came to visit. Like, fam, you gotta treat people right leading up to those points so those things never have to occur. Don't do weird stuff in the name of your politics to your kids when you have a lot. Because in the end, they may do whatever the hell with you. Whatever. I've seen it. Video 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.